you know what is going on. And there is a certificate phenomenon within candidates. There are those who believe that election results should have been transmitted properly. INEC says, look, we do not have anything as electronic transmission of result in our laws. It's still manual. But the problem is the transmission of the result or the posting of the result on the iRev viewing portal. Was INEC able to deliver on that promise? Is our election getting better? There's some credibility from our elections. Some of our friends and civil society organizations who monitored elections in Liberia are giving their experience and the lessons they took from that place and asking whether or not Nigeria can do better and how citizens took control of the electoral process. Let's get talking tonight. If we need to get things better, our laws need to be changed, isn't it? Honorable Bayo Balogun is the House Committee Chair on INEC. He joins us live here in our studio. Thank you so much indeed, Honorable, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. Let me begin because we're looking at our election, where we got it wrong, if anything went wrong, and how we could get it better. How would you describe elections of 2023? A lot of people are not happy with that elections. Would you say that is the best Nigeria could have offered?
Well, thank you. I'm happy that you said if we get it wrong, that if it is actually wrong. Because to me, I'm a practitioner, and I will look at it from a different point of view. If you look at 2023 election, it's still the best we've had in Nigeria.
Since when?
Since we started politics.
Compared to 1993 election?
To 1993
I mean,
election.
You said that's the best we've had.
Yes, which one is 1993? The MKO Abiola?
Yeah, the one that was annulled.
You see?
It was perceived as the fairest and the freest and the fairest.
Okay, if you want to also go into that, open ballot system, is it fair? Open ballot system. I know what happened. Intimidation. Directly, a landlord and a tenant on the same queue. Look, let's get. So
you are submitting. Now let me just remember, Honorable, you are positing tonight that 2023 election is the best Nigeria has had.
Yes, and let me give you
what are your
the
positions
reasons
on that?
Now, we had the creation of new units during this election, and in my local government, one of my wards, which happens to be the biggest ward, had 10 units before, and additional 55 were created. That means people that never had access before will now have access. Before, the polling units were restricted to the old developed areas, and you now have new developments within the states. So many of those people have to trek kilometers to get to their polling units, and this discourages many people, and they actually stayed away during elections. So most of those people actually came out. Now, the use of beavers, that is the turning point in our politics. In fact, the insurance of having beavers during this last election made the difference. During the electoral act amendments, it was actually the former speaker, Right Honorable Gbajabiamila Miller, during the consideration that made that point, that made that amendment, that it was actually the use of card reader that we actually made in that was actually stated in the amendment, that particular clause. But he now said the use of card reader, because he was suspecting that some other devices can still come on board. And one thing about the law is, if you don't state it, you can't use it. So Gbajabiamila made that amendment, said make it the use of card reader or any other electronic device that could be deployed by INEC.
Yeah.
So that was the reason why we were able to even use beavers. Why many other people were talking about transmission. That was the key thing that actually changed the whole thing. Elections are done at the polling units. If you get it wrong at the polling units, forget how you transmit it. Either you take it manually, you take it electronically, by posting, whatever. If I'm able to create fraud, because fraud starts with accreditation. Because of beavers, people could no longer do proxy voting. And that's why many rural areas that used to come with the big votes could no longer deliver. You see, it's the politicians that know what happened, because people knew the way they get their votes.
So you politicians, I mean, you've been a local government chair before.
Yes.
Now a member of the House.
Yeah.
You are a member of the APC.
Yes.
Your candidate won the presidency. Could this be the reason for you thinking that this election is such a credible election as to have been described as the best?
You see, like I said, elections are done at the units. It's the process of voting itself.
So the way you politicians rig elections, you people could not rig elections this time around?
Yes, practitioners know that it was difficult, because there's no way you could vote on behalf of people again.
Was that the reason why people were intimidated? Voters were being suppressed in some areas as alleged by some opposition parties? Could that be the reason?
I learned that happened in Enugu, that many Igbos that wanted to vote for APC were actually driven away, and some of them were even intimidated. Yes, but I cannot confirm it.
It was also, I mean, alleged that it happened in Lagos.
Well, I'm in Ibejuleki, so I might not say that. So, but at least what we are actually aware of is the fact that people could no longer vote by proxy, and which is the most important aspect of election. Getting only the right people to vote. The others will follow. And again, once you get your results at the polling units, everybody gets a copy. All the parties get a copy. The police officer gets a copy. So if all the copies are given already, so you have every party going to their situation room to collate all their results. And that's why during this election, no party has been able to come out, either Labour Party or PDP, able to come out to say, this is where the fraud actually took place. This ward, we scored 3,000, but we were given 200. Nobody. They're all looking for technicalities. How can I unseat the candidate or the president via technical ground? That's what they've been looking for. So nobody is actually talking about this at the result. When we lost in Osun in 2007. Mm-hmm. 2007. Ashwaju went into forensic details of
Oyinlola election
against Aregbesola. He went, he ensured that they did forensic examination of the ballots. You see, that's how you work. You don't just go chasing shadows. So you knew that at that period, even if you vote by proxy, you can't get the fingerprint of that person to thumbprint.
Honorable, is it that, I mean, so I come to Lagos, which is your base now. Was it a shock that Bola Tinubu lost in Lagos?
You see, many things happened before that election. Some people didn't want us to win as a party. They created the groundwork. They made sure that ASU was on strike for 8 months. The students were at home. They were angry. The changing of money came. The petrol scarcity in the election months. You see, these are already areas of ensuring.
If all of those things did not happen, Tinubu would have won in Lagos.
Would have won throughout all the states.
But what of those who?
But that's where you see the political engineering capacity of Asiwaju himself.
So what of those who believe that in the metropolitan, in Abuja, in Lagos, in the cities where the Obi became a phenomenon, and the obedient
Obi was actually a product of what I said happened. You see, when you are angry with the government, you look for any alternative. Not because you feel it's better. You see, a drowning man will hang on to.
Those who voted for Peter Obi in Lagos don't think that Peter Obi was better than Tinubu?
No, you see, at that point, they just felt, we don't want the establishment, the established party. We don't want PDP, we don't want APC. We just want someone who feels it's not part of them. You see, it's a very dangerous state to be in. Even in life, when someone decides to commit suicide, it's like you feel you are tired of everything. So they don't even care. You know how many people want other labor throughout the country?
So you people were not surprised that Tinubu lost in Lagos?
It's not about being surprised.
Did he come to you guys as a surprise? You have won election in Lagos as a local council chair. Mm-hmm. You've won as a member of the House of Reps. for your leader who has held sway in Lagos, who had been able to institutionalize himself and been able to bring
that is why
are you surprised that he lost at the presidential election in Lagos?
That is why we were even able to win the election generally. You see, Lagos is a mix of many people, and at that point, there were a lot of trucking into Lagos, and those are some areas we found out people were moved into Lagos.
Really?
Yes.
You've not
churches,
that?
Hospitals. That's why during the second election, we were waiting for them. Many people were trucked into Lagos.
Manually?
Yes.
Just for,
so many for the election.
Just for they don't live. To lose.
Whatever reason they have, I don't know. So many people were trucked into Lagos. So these are part of the areas we're even going to look in our electoral laws. In America, anywhere in the world, even in Liberia, I was part of that mission that you spoke about. People who are on essential duties will be allowed to vote for only the general candidate that covers it, like the president. You'll be able to vote for the president anywhere, but you will not be able to vote for the senator or rep because you don't live in that place. But since the president covers anywhere, they can allow you to vote for that person. So if you're not being trucked from Enugu or Kanu to come and vote in Lagos and distort the will of the people in Lagos.
Have you looked at the areas where Bola Tinubu lost in Lagos and where Peter Obi won in Lagos?
Yes.
Have you critically analyzed it?
Yes. Those are the areas where those are the areas where such trucking really take place. In my local government and the indigenous local government of Lagos, Ashwaju won. Indigenous local government, Bejuleki, Badagry, Ekpe, Ikorodu, Lagos Island, the indigenous ones, actually won landslide. But those areas, most of these activities took place, and it was not very easy for us to identify this on time.
Let me ask you, Honorable, as a chair of INEC committee, are you hoping that there might be a major review of the Electoral Act 2022 before the next general elections?
Sure.
What are the areas are you looking at?
Now, most of the areas that people have been talking about are just issue of administrative matters.
Okay.
Issue of posting of the result on IRF cannot be made a law.
Why?
It must be a regulation because, you see, you don't have control of technology. And once something is made a law, you must either technology is okay or not, you must. If you don't do it, it's an offense. So in life, even in Britain, they have unwritten constitution. So there are issues for every section.
If it became an issue, just
yes, for every section.
If it became an issue that INEC promised that results were going to be uploaded on the IREF, and INEC could not meet that standard that he set for itself at the presidential election, and those who think that it will make sense for the law to be reviewed and adjusted and amended in that respect, you don't think that that is a way to correct what happened?
No, it's not a way to correct. If we feel that they could not do it because of lack of capacity, and now you want to make it a law, that means we are...
Was it lack of capacity that caused...
Because INEC does not have that capacity. They don't have these are about technology.
They did it in 2 elections.
All cycles,
and
which are one state per day.
Out of 3 elections, in the general election, they did it in 2.
When you're talking about capacity, look, when you're talking about data management, you're talking about volume. You're talking about some states. Some of these states put together cannot even match with Lagos alone. So, and in fact, the Liberian election, they promised to use electronic accreditation, but they couldn't on that day. They promised that they were going to use.
But how do we then strengthen INEC in terms of capacity?
It is not what it is. What do we want to achieve? Let's know what we want to achieve first. You see, technology is to aid your process, what you want to achieve. How do we ensure that there's free and fair election? Number one, with IRF, we have been able to manage election itself, the main election. So people can no longer vote by proxy. We've been able to achieve that. The second thing is the results. how are we going to ensure that the result does not change from this unit until it gets to the national collation level? Now, everybody gets his own copy. Even the police, every party gets its own copy. You have your own situation room. Everybody is collating. You get to the ward level. They collate all the units together. You get a copy. Every party gets a copy.
Manually.
Yes, you get your copy. Yes.
So what's the sense in introducing technology in our electoral process?
What they just want to do is to have somewhere you can store those information. Anybody can just go and take. Many people shouting about transmission does not even know how to get into the portal.
Honorable, let me ask you.
So the essential thing is that's why this election, this is the only election, people are not addressing the results issued by INEC.
Let me, because I mean, I've been following our electoral development for several years. So, and let me bring this to bear. There was a time that election will open at 8 o'clock. Accreditation will begin at 8:30 and it will end at 12. And voting will begin at that time and end at 2:30. That was a period in our history, electoral history. Yeah. But there was a time that INEC thought that we could merge the two processes, and there came what they call the simultaneous accreditation and voting, which enhanced the process.
Which is better.
There was a time INEC thought that we could use the Z-pad, which looked like an iPad.
That is why all these were regulations, not law.
Just for a moment. We moved from Z-pad onto the card reader. The card reader machine was used in 2019, but along the line, the law was reviewed to say, let us give INEC a wider margin to be able to introduce such a technology as it did fit. So the question is that if INEC has been experimenting on transmitting results through the IRV portal, why don't you want to make it a law?
You see, that's what I'm saying. All these transitions were not made a law. Because if you have to make it a law...
Isn't it the reason why nobody was responsible when there were glitches, when there were issues? Nobody is held accountable.
Look, let me tell you something. Look, when you are talking about having a system, there are some areas you have to leave the room for adjustment. Because if you make some things a law, it becomes difficult to adjust. There could be strong regulations.
But if you don't make a law, nobody will be able to follow the process.
I said there are regulations and guidelines. The guidelines can be strong enough to be as good as a law, which if you breach, if those breaches were caused by the workers now, then it would have been something they will reprimand them for. But it was the commission.
You don't think that the glitch that we saw in the transmission was...
It was the commission that saw it. That this is a problem. People are already trying to hack into the...
Were they hacking? Was that the issue?
They said so many attempts were made.
Hacking.
Yes.
That was the problem.
Yes. Now, if
that was the glitch that INEC was
the first day. So yes. Now, if I've been able to post fake results on the RF, it will be difficult for INEC to say that wasn't the right result.
Honorable,
very, very difficult.
Let me, because this is a very touchy one, and I'm hoping that there will be...
But you are talking about what are the areas...
Yes, there's one area that I like you, which is very important, the appointor of the INEC chair and the senior management of INEC. There are those who believe that that capacity or that authority should be taken away from a politician's hand. Are you looking at that? Because that's a constitutional provision.
You see, all offices... Major offices are held by politicians. That's what it means you get to power by politics. So if you now get away from politicians, so you want to give it to people who are not concerned, who are not committed, who does not, do they have your mandate to be in power by you telling them to go and appoint the most important person in the electoral process? You see, that's why they say you cannot be a card-carrying member. And some people who are card-carrying members who try to dodge their membership, people expose them, and they were cut off.
You don't think that there are other ways that can be less biased or that can be free of political influence in appointing? Look, because if I appoint you, Honorable, don't you think that you'll be loyal to me? Your appointor.
Jonathan appointed Jega. And what happened? Please, let's give ourselves a break.
So you don't think that area needs to be reviewed?
No, Jonathan appointed Jega.
Is that a reason why we should
Jonathan
continue?
lost election? Look, that means it is not compulsory that because you appointed the person, he will do your bidding. It does not follow. So that's a very good example.
But you saw what happened.
And this election.
You saw what happened in Adamawa,
and
you saw what happened in Sokoto
did not appoint Yakubu. So
did Yakubu do Ashwaju's bidding?
No, when he said maybe if you have appointed him, maybe that's why you won. The person who appointed lost, and the person who does not even appoint won. Yakubu is from the north. Ashwaju is from south. It's not even a matter of maybe you come from the same geopolitical zone. So it doesn't matter. Look, when we were in Lagos, while PDP was sweeping every state, Ashwaju survived. It was PDP state, PDP commissioner of police, everything PDP. That's Ashwaju survived. It's about capacity.
Honorable, on a final note, what do you think is very fundamental?
Now, we have to clean up our data.
We need to close in 60 seconds.
We need to clean up the voters register. There are a lot of loose names. People have died, people have changed their units. And so as long as you have more names than what you have, you'll be thinking that the turnout is actually low. Whereas it's just because you have a bloated data. And that's why we are saying it's just 23% of what. So that's a major one. In our primaries too, there should be better internal democracy. We already have it that political parties should submit their party register to INEC 30 days before the primaries. We also probably will extend it to come to the one that will come before the congresses, because if you are going to use the party executives as the agents, then the process of electing them must also be thorough. It must only be by party members, because what we have now, when you're having PDP primaries and you're having APC primaries, you don't even know one from the other. The same people will jump in because we don't have a credible register. And again, lastly, like we've been saying, we want to find a system where court cases will be concluded before swearing in. This is what we've been trying. But but people like you are trying to join them to be a lawyer, these are the people causing the crisis. They want to make more money.
Well, the worker is deserving of his wages. Thank you so much, Honorable Bayo Balogun, for joining us tonight on the program. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Bayo Balogun is the chair of the INEC committee in the House of Representatives, representing Ibejuleki in Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you so much indeed for your time.